With over 5,200 Timorese working in Australia, questions have been raised around whether seasonal workers fully understand their rights under Australia's PALM scheme. In part 2 of her discussion with RTTL World News, Timor-Leste's ambassador to Australia, Inês de Almeida, outlines the complexities of processes such as superannuation and the workplace justice visa.
Some Timorese workers report leaving for Australia without knowing their entitlements, such as superannuation, who is responsible for preparing and informing workers of the entitlements as part of the PALM scheme.
I think it's both governments are responsible for that, because in Australia, superannuation is compulsory. Once you work, you need to deduct money to the super, and then the employer also pays a percentage. And I think it needs to be in the pre-departure briefing in country, and then a follow-up with the employer itself. And the employers will have to also explain to the workers that they're entitlement of the superannuation. Now, of course, the embassy has reached out as well to the Timorese workers and explain to them about their entitlements. It is difficult, it's very complex. Again, once they reach Timor-Leste, when they return to Timor-Leste and they finish with their contract, they can claim the superannuation. However, it's very complex because the superannuation is more, the way I see it, is for Australians. So even for the Australians, it's very difficult to fill out the form, let alone for a migrant worker that goes back to Timor and then will have to fill out the form in order to get their funds back. So this is the challenge that we do have. However, the embassy has now been working with an agency who is an expert in getting superannuation, and we have been facilitating the workers through these particular agencies for them so that he can help the Timorese to get their superannuation, including the ones that have passed away, which is often is very difficult, but we managed successfully got three, if I'm not mistaken, three that deceased family got their superannuation. So there are ways, it's just that we have to know how to navigate.
How can workers ensure they are claiming all they are entitled to?
Well, they have to go, there is a process that they have to fill out the form. And this is why I'm saying that the embassy has connection or is liaison with this agency who can help the Timorese to access the superannuation. We have been making appeal, or we have been, each time we visit the workers, we also inform the workers what it can be done in terms of their superannuation to get their money back. Unfortunately, once they get their money back, Australia keeps 40% of their savings, which is very sad. However, this is something that us as heads of the mission are working with the Australian government to see whether that can be removed from the superannuation deduction.
Seasonal workers face challenges such as complex processes and high taxes when claiming superannuation payments. What would you like to see the Australian government do to make superannuation fairer and more accessible?
Ideally, from my point of view, because Timorese are migrant workers, they should not, it's a law that every employer will have to deduct the superannuation. However, when they retrieve the superannuation, when they return home, I believe that they should not be charged 40% tax, because the 40% tax is money that stays in Australia, and this 40% is money that it will be more useful for the Timorese to use it in Timor-Leste rather than keep it in Australia. But in terms of accessibility, well, superannuation is complex. So we just have to navigate through that. This is why the embassy has found an agency who can help the Timorese to navigate the system.
How does the workplace justice visa protect Timorese workers, and how does the embassy support workers throughout this process?
There was a case that a Timorese, that the embassy helped because he claimed he was unfairly dismissed. So we helped him to take his case through the lawyers in order to reinstate him or claim the unfair dismissal. Okay. There is a workplace justice visa that has been introduced by the Australian government, which is a pilot. However, it's very complex. With the workplace justice visa, once, for example, if a worker is claiming, if a worker goes through a process through the lawyer in order to get the fairness of that he was dismissed unfairly, and then his visa expires. So we have to apply for workplace justice visa. And it's not an easy task for a migrant worker to go through the process, because once you apply for that, you need to get a certificate, but it not only anybody can give a certificate, not even a lawyer can give a certificate. It has to go through a union, or it has to be a migrant services that can give you a certificate. This is a huge task. And when we dealt with this particular Timorese, it took us about 2 to 3 months to get it through.
Really appreciate it, Ambassador. Thank you very much.
Everything.